You know that moment during a game when you're cheering every play, but something just feels a bit off. Like watching a friend stick with a plan that clearly isn't working, yet refusing to change it because they believe it will work eventually? That's been the ongoing feeling for Golden State Warriors fans over the past several months. They support a team known for beautiful basketball. The Warriors move smartly, shoot with precision, and share a chemistry that feels almost rehearsed. However, when you examine the starting lineup from the tail end of last season, the cracks in the system start to show. The team leaned too heavily on Draymond Green at center, a physically demanding role in the paint that's clearly taken a toll on him. And that's no exaggeration. Draymond is a player you can't help but respect. He defends multiple positions, organizes the team's defense, and contributes on offense with intelligent passing and timely shots. But the Warriors placed too much responsibility on him. And over time, the burden led to signs of fatigue. His struggles in the second round of the playoffs against the Minnesota Timberwolves were revealing. Playing center night after night against bigger, stronger players simply isn't sustainable for a 34-year-old. Not without hurting his health, performance, and the team's overall success. This has now become the Warriors' key dilemma. Can this version of small ball with Draymond anchoring the middle still work going forward? Deep down, most know the answer. No. The team itself seems to realize this too, which is why they're actively looking for solutions. They want to add size and strength while keeping the mobility and versatility that have defined their style for years. But how do you do that without compromising the identity that fans love and that brought them so much success? To answer that, you have to understand the current state of the NBA. Today's game increasingly favors size. Teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, Cleveland Cavaliers, Boston Celtics, Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Houston Rockets are deploying large athletic lineups that dominate the paint and apply relentless pressure on defense. This isn't a short-lived trend. It's a response to how the game has evolved. The Warriors, in contrast, have stuck with a smaller approach, using Green at center and trying to make up for it with speed and smart tactics. But that strategy has limits. It wears down players physically, especially Green, who is not only one of the team's most important players, but also the emotional core. Financially, the Warriors also face challenges. Green is under a hefty contract, which means the front office has to manage his minutes and role wisely. They can't afford to push him to the point where he's no longer effective. Ideally, he would return to playing power forward, his natural spot, where he can better use his agility and defensive instincts without being overworked. For that to happen, the Warriors need a center who fits their style. The player must be athletic, versatile, and able to contribute without slowing the team down. This is where the name Al Horford comes into the picture. Frequently mentioned as a possible solution to Golden State's size issue, Horford, despite being 39, offers valuable qualities. He has experience, a high basketball IQ, and the physical ability to play both the power forward and center positions. Standing at 6 feet 9 inches, Horford isn't a towering big man, but he can defend the paint and also stretch the floor with his shooting. That floor spacing is crucial for the Warriors' offensive flow, which thrives on three-point looks generated through movement and ball sharing. Simply adding a big man isn't the answer. The Warriors need someone who brings size, mobility, and the ability to shoot from the perimeter. A slow, offense-limited center could clog the spacing and disrupt the offense, especially with players like Green and Jonathan Kuminga, who already have spacing limitations. Horford, even at his age, still moves well and understands the nuances of the game. He's also played alongside younger bigs like Quentin Post and Trace Jackson-Davis, showing he can fit into lineups with a mix of youth and experience. Looking at teams like the post-Bosh Miami Heat, Or the recent Boston Celtics. We see examples of franchises that stayed competitive by leaning on veteran leadership, solid fundamentals, and smart lineup choices, despite aging rosters or less athleticism. The Warriors now face a similar choice: how to blend experience, size, and speed to remain contenders in a league that's becoming tougher physically. Horford isn't just a seasoned pro. He's the son of former NBA player Tito Horford and learned early on the importance of teamwork and reading the game. His calm leadership, which might not show up in stats, is essential for locker room chemistry. On the other hand, Draymond Green, fiery and vocal, has shown awareness of his limits and a willingness to adapt for the team's good. Together, Horford and Green present an intriguing strategic option. The challenge for coach Steve Kerr is to maintain the Warriors' signature style: quick ball movement, constant pace, and aggressive defense, while injecting the size they now desperately need. The solution could lie in Kerr's creativity. If he can construct flexible lineups that seamlessly shift between small ball and dual big formations, the Warriors could maintain their identity while addressing their weaknesses. Horford could hold down the center spot, freeing up Green to return to his more comfortable role at power forward. Of course, this plan carries some risk. Horford, at 39, isn't as athletic as he once was. He'll need to prove he can keep up with the Warriors' tempo and constant perimeter rotations. But his success with the Boston Celtics and Philadelphia 76ers shows that even with age, he can still anchor a defense and help organize a team. This urgency for change was echoed by former NBA champion Channing Frye, who said on the Road Trippin' podcast that the Warriors might need to blow it up if they don't address their size issues. He wasn't offering a hot take. He was pointing out how the league is evolving and how teams are now building around height and physicality. Within the fan base and basketball circles, opinions are split. Some believe the Warriors can fix this without shaking up the core too much. Others think a more significant shift is necessary, and that Horford's potential arrival could be the first step in that transformation. Regardless of the differing views, one thing is clear: the Warriors cannot keep relying on Draymond Green at center if they want to remain contenders. That lineup worked in short bursts, especially during the final 30 games of the regular season, but it can't hold up over a full campaign. Moving Green back to power forward and potentially adding Horford could relieve the burden, restore balance, and keep the team competitive. If that shift succeeds, the Warriors might stay in the title race. If not, they may have to rethink their strategy from the ground up. As we look ahead to the 2025 to 2026 season, big questions remain. Can Golden State bring in a new center without losing the essence of their fast-paced team-first game? Can Horford help elevate the squad without slowing them down? And can Green return to a role that protects his health while still keeping him as the team's emotional engine? Or will this be a season of constant tweaks, frustrating inconsistencies, and possibly even major roster changes? And what about you? Do you think the Warriors can adapt to this new, more physical NBA? Do you believe Horford still has something left to contribute and might be the missing piece? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice is essential in this community that thrives on deep basketball analysis. In the end, this situation feels like a classic dilemma: trying to squeeze into an old jersey that no longer fits, or finally investing in one tailored for today's game. The Warriors stand at a fork in the road. Do they stick with what's worked and make small adjustments, or embrace a bigger change to stay competitive? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, share with your fellow fans, and subscribe for more updates. There's plenty more content coming, and this storyline, whether centered on Horford, Lopez, or someone else, is just beginning. Basketball never stops evolving. One day, a strategy dominates. The next, it's outdated. That's the crossroads the Warriors, one of the league's most iconic dynasties, now face. Their identity, built on speed, skill, and intelligence, is being tested by a league that increasingly favors size and strength. And that brings us to another name in the conversation: Brook Lopez, the veteran formerly with the Milwaukee Bucks. The idea of Lopez joining Golden State isn't just about adding another experienced player. It's a calculated decision that could shape the team's trajectory in the near future. Lopez offers a rare blend of traits. He's still an effective rim protector, even if he doesn't move like he used to. And he's a reliable three-point shooter who can stretch defenses. For a team that lives and dies by Stephen Curry's shooting and floor spacing, a center who doesn't clog the paint is essential. Last season, Golden State leaned heavily on Draymond to anchor the middle. But Green isn't a true center, and asking him to hold down that position every night took a visible toll, especially in the postseason. That's why the front office is hunting for help. They want a big who can defend, space the floor, and reduce Green's burden so he can slide back to power forward, where he's most effective. Lopez, at 37, has shown he can adapt. He entered the league as a traditional big, focused on interior scoring and shot blocking. But he evolved his game, adding a dependable outside shot, and now balances both roles masterfully. On offense, he opens up the pick and pop, where the center screens then flares out to shoot, creating space for guards like Curry to operate. Defensively, he remains a smart and effective shot blocker, even without the lateral quickness he once had. The main concern? Golden State plays fast. The constant movement and perimeter switching may not suit Lopez perfectly. Coach Kerr might need to tweak the rotation, balancing quick, small lineups with bigger, more physical ones anchored by Lopez. Financially, Lopez's salary is sizable but manageable. And from the Clippers' perspective, his most recent team, it makes sense. Ivica Zubac has taken over the starting center spot, and the emergence of younger players makes Lopez more expendable. For Golden State, adding Lopez makes sense as a short-term solution. With Curry still performing at a high level, the championship window remains open, but time is running out. They need a balanced roster that protects the rim and spaces the floor. Lopez checks both boxes. Beyond stats, he brings veteran leadership and a calm presence. He's a former champion, someone who knows how to navigate pressure situations and guide younger teammates. Across the NBA, teams are striving to find the balance between speed and size. Golden State's pursuit of Lopez reflects that broader shift. Even Channing Frye has weighed in again, warning that the Warriors may need to overhaul their roster if they don't solve this size issue. Bringing in Lopez is a way to avoid that scenario, while still reinforcing their system with intelligence. Lopez represents more than just a roster move. He symbolizes a possible evolution in the Warriors' identity, a shift toward blending their creative style with the physicality today's game demands. How this plays out will depend on adjustments, chemistry, and execution. But the Warriors aren't standing still. They're making moves. And what do you think? Would Lopez be a good fit? Could he be the answer? Or is another shakeup still ahead? Join the discussion. Your voice matters in shaping this conversation about one of the NBA's most fascinating franchises.